Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. It's time for another edition of This Week in Master Duel. Usually I like to do it on Thursday or Friday instead of, I think, Saturdays when this is actually going to be going out, but had a bit of a busy IRL week, so I pre-recorded a lot of those deck profiles that we saw this week, but definitely wanted to talk about some things. I'm actually glad that we waited until today in order to record this, though, because I've got a couple of really exciting things that I want to talk about that we're going to talk about here. For those who don't know, this series is, of course, covering all of the events that have happened within the last week of Master Duel. As always, we're going to start in client. Then we're going to pop over to Twitter, which I don't usually do, but there's been a really, really cool announcement that's actually not in the in-game notifications here, so I don't really know how many people actually know about it. Definitely want to talk about that here in a minute. And then we'll look at ranked ladder meta on Untapped, and then finally we'll look at leaks and tournament results on Master Duel meta. So we're going to start here in client. There's really not too much going on here from last week, except the second stage of the Duelist Cup has begun. You all know how I feel about it at this point. Not a fan at all. So I've already, hit max level, got my gems for the event, so I am good to go. And that's really all we have to talk about in client. And one of the reasons that I'm so willing to pass on the Duelist Cup is that we have something even cooler to look forward to. So if we head over here to Twitter, right, to the official Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Twitter, and again, I wanted to talk about this because I didn't see this notification in client, right? Duelists, we're excited to reveal that the United States hashtag Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Challenger Cup starts on March 24th. That's tomorrow at the time of recording this, by the way. Show your skills in tournaments and become the champion. You can join the Discord and more info to register. I'm going to link this tweet in the description so that way you're able to, head over to the Discord, and also they have posted the first few dates right on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Twitter. So even if you're not on Twitter or X or whatever, it's definitely still worth popping over and checking this out. So there is one that's going to be on the 24th. That's tomorrow at the time this video is going up, and also at the time of recording this, actually. And then I know there are also two that were announced for the 30th and the 31st, which is next weekend as well. So I'm going to be participating. I don't plan on streaming tomorrow's tournament, or frankly any of them as of right now. It's just that streaming not only takes my concentration, but let's be frank, it puts me at a huge disadvantage from a tournament going standpoint. So that's the reason I don't really stream tournaments, but I am definitely eager to participate. So and it's really cool that the United States is getting a Challenger Cup. It is kind of a shame that Canada is not included. I just assumed it was NA when I saw this announcement. I totally glossed over United States. I thought it was North America. But unfortunately, no. Canada and Mexico are not eligible, which is unfortunate. Actually, very unfortunate, but in any case, yeah. So if you are in the United States and you're interested in the Challenger Cup, this is, again, if you're in the US, the first chance you're going to have to participate in official Master Duel tournaments, which, again, it kind of makes it baffling to me that they didn't bother mentioning this. I mean, I think they talked about the European ones when those were around, but anyway, maybe there'll be an announcement at some point in the future. But in any case, like I said, if you are interested, I'm going to put that link in the description over to this tweet, so you can go ahead and check it out for yourself. Let's pop on over now to Untapped and take a look. I really am actually eager to take a look at the ranked ladder meta, because there's been a pretty huge shift, right? As always ever, not as always ever, but as we've been doing recently, we're looking mainly at Diamond and Master Rank, and you'll already notice that some of the figures are fairly different. I want to point out that this is because of a meta shift, right? So the way that Untapped does tier lists and tracks the meta is they do a shift every time a new selection pack / ban list comes through, which obviously that makes sense, right? So, previous meta, if we look here, right, this is what we were looking at kind of last week and the week before, right? This is for basically the month of February through March, going into the first week, because that's when selection packs come out, yada, yada, you get, right? So, and if we pop back over to current meta, you're already seeing a pretty drastic shift for Snake Eye, the best deck of the meta. Notably, the popularity rate plummeted from 25% to 18.8%. Which is actually even more than I thought it was going to fall. Here's the thing, right? New deck syndrome is always a thing. And when a deck, comes out, it takes a little while for the appeal to wear off for people, and then at that point, they'll move on to either whatever the next new deck is or whatever their favorite deck is. And there's nothing wrong with doing this, by the way. I know a lot of people out there are like, whatever. People who really value sticking to one deck will often decry people who don't. As someone who plays a lot of decks, I think you know where, where I stand on that. But anyway. Yeah, 18.8%. That's a huge drop from 25.7 that we saw before. 7% popularity drop. I didn't think it would happen that much to a deck like Snake Eye. I thought it would go down to like 20% at the lowest, but with it has also fallen the overall win rate a little bit, 55% even. And we're seeing other decks in the format that are achieving about the same win rate, or in Super Heavy Samurai's case, a lot better. It seems to me that a lot of people just kind of like, I think the percentage that Snake Eye lost kind of got like redistributed across like a bunch of the top meta decks, right? And Super Heavy Samurai, I think, definitely has a higher popularity rating, doesn't it? Oh no, it actually has lower. Wow. That's wild. Lower popularity. Well, I mean, that also makes sense. A lower popularity rating meaning a higher win rate, because you're not running into mirror matches as much, and also if fewer people are on the deck, but the deck is still doing very well, that means the people who are using it are like, particularly skilled at it. Manadium actually up here for the first time in a little bit here. So that's really interesting. And I think this, I mean, I've made this point like the past couple of weeks, right? Like, Snake Eye is a very, very good deck. It is the best deck of the format. It's not tier 0. And I think this is definitely proof that we are seeing that there is a difference between being tier 0 and being the most dominant deck of the format, right? And yeah, wow, it looks like Kashira has even gone down in the win rate as well. Maybe because Snake Eye just isn't being played as much, right? That would definitely make some sense to me there. And yeah, I mean, down here, it's like pretty much all the kind of standard stuff you'd see. And then there's also low match volume. There's just, these decks obviously just not had enough games to necessarily meet the criteria to be put into a tier. But we're still seeing a lot of like popular decks you would expect to see. Mystical Beast, if you're wondering what this is pretty much just Endymion. So like Endymion Pendulum decks. Yeah, wow, Snake Eye, how the mighty have fallen. Well, I say how the mighty have fallen, but like the deck is obviously still the best deck in the meta, and it's obviously still really good, but I don't know, it's just like there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, if you're not using Snake Eye, then like, why bother? And it's like, well, because there's a lot of decks that are viable, that would be the reason. Or like, not even necessarily just saying that about Snake Eye, but about like, just like the top 5 decks in the meta, or even when it comes to each individual like archetype, right? People get so fixated on this idea of an optimal build when for most decks there's really no such thing, because when it comes to certain tech, right, it's going to be situationally dependent, build dependent, meta dependent, but I digress. Anyway, yeah, so we're gonna pop on over to Master Duel meta. We have some more leaks to take a look at here from the Battlin Boxer archetype, and there's one card in particular that I think is going to be very, very good. But as always, I'm going to go ahead and read through these. I actually don't know what a lot of them do off the top of my head, so I'll kind of read through them and kind of evaluate them, see where we figure out Battlin Boxer, or where Battlin Boxer is going to be after this, right? Battlin Boxer Chief Second, level 4 Fire Warrior with 500 attack, 2000 defense. During your main phase, you can normal summon a Battlin Boxer monster in addition to your normal summoner set. When an opponent's monster declares an attack by control a fire or warrior monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do negate the attack, then banish one monster on the field until the end phase. Definitely not bad. It's both an extender and a cute little form of battle disruption. It's kind of weird that it's an extender, but the battle effect summons from hand. I don't know, that is a little odd to me, because I feel like you would, normal summon anyway, but not a terrible card by any means. Battlin Boxer Uppercutter is a level 4 Fire Warrior, 1600 attack, 200 defense. 200 defense! That's the rekindling number. I feel like I actually made a tweet about this recently, but I feel like Konami keeps trying to tempt us with rekindling, right? Like, you look at, Soul Resonator, multiple Snake Eyes monsters, a couple of Battlin Boxers monsters, and it feels like they were like, oh no, Osh, did we accidentally give this fire monster 200 defense? It'd be a shame if you played Rekindling. And yet here we are in the year of 2024 where Rekindling is actually not good enough to put in your deck anymore. It's wild. Anyway, Uppercutter, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Battlin Boxer monster or one counter trap from your deck to your hand. for those who are confused by that, that is a counter trap with the word counter in its name, not a new kind of counter trap that's extra countery. If this card is hit the graveyard by card effect, okay, you can activate one of these effects, special summon a Battlin Boxer from your graveyard, set a counter trap from your graveyard to your field. You can only use one of those effects per turn. Well, I mean, it is an archetype Stratos, so it's obviously going to be pretty good. Second effect, I don't really expect that to come up a whole lot unless they have an in-archetype way to pop their own stuff, but still definitely neat. Okay, Battlin Boxer Promoter, level 4 Fire Warrior, 1700 attack, 800 defense. If your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Okay, that's not bad. You contribute this card special summon to 2 Battlin Boxer monsters with different names. Whoa, they got a Rescue Rabbit. That's cool. You can banish this card from your graveyard, increase the decrease levels of all Battlin Boxer monsters you control by 1. Oh, because there are like rank 3. I think there's even a rank 2 or 1 Battlin Boxer monster. That's neat. Can only use each effective promoter once per turn. Also, you cannot special summon monsters during the turn you activate any of this card's effects, except Battlin Boxer. There it is. I was like, this card is really good. It's got to have a restriction on it, right? Yeah, so... wow, yeah, a Rescue Rabbit type effect that can also special itself from the hand if you're going second. That's really, really good. That's really strong. But locking you into Battlin Boxers for any special summons, not even just from the extra deck. Wow, that's a lot. That's a bit much. I don't think the Battlin Boxer had the tools to play with only its own stuff beforehand. But let's take a look at some of these Xyz monsters and see if maybe they can help, right? I guess we have spell and trap cards to look at first. Ring Announcer, normal spell card. This is always treated as a Battlin Boxing card. Okay. Special summon 1 Battlin Boxer monster from your hand. Then you can destroy spell and trap cards on the field up to the number of Xyz monsters you control. I don't know. This is like really situational. I don't think this card is good at all. It's extremely situational. You have to, one, be in a situation where you want to be popping back row, but also have at least one Xyz monster on the field and a Battlin Boxer monster in your hand to special summon, and also this card in your hand to activate, right? Nah, this is like super situational. I wouldn't even side deck this card. I think this card is just bad. Seventh Force. Oh, interesting. This is kind of like a number C support card, because of course, you know, in the anime, Battlin Boxers were used by, I don't remember the character's name off the top of my head, but I should know them. I love the Barians. Anyway, quick play spell during the battle phase of a monster is destroyed by battle or card effect. You can target 1 number Xyz monster in your graveyard. Alright, this is already really specific. Special summon from your extra deck 1 number C monster with the same type, but 1 rank higher. If you attach that monster to a material, then if you special summon a number C monster between 101 and 107, to say you can add a 7th or Barian spell trap card or 1 rank up magic quick play spell card, except 7th Force, from your deck to your hand. Holy crap. That was a lot to read. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, if a monster... Okay, so you can actually battle over your opponent's monster and then rank up. So that's actually less situational than I thought. I still don't think it's like that great. If you really want to dip into like the over 100 numbers, like the number C's between 101 and 107, I think there are probably easier ways to do it than this. Because this also requires you to have like the number Xyz monster in your graveyard, right? So it is actually still a little situational. Battlin Boxing Cross Counter is a counter trap card that says when your opponent activates a monster effect, destroy 1 Battlin Boxer or number Xyz monster you control, and if you do, negate the activation. And if you do that, destroy that monster. Then you can apply the following effect. Jeez. Special summon 1 Battlin Boxer Xyz monster from your extra deck with a different name than the first monster, and if you do, attach this card to it as a material. Okay, so there is an archetype way to destroy your own uppercutter. Okay, that makes sense, yep. There's probably other ways to do it too. I'm just reading this card over again. So you negate a monster effect, destroy it with a different name. Okay, but you don't actually have to control an Xyz monster. Oh, no, a Battlin Boxer or number Xyz monster. I get it. I got it. So wait, you can destroy 1 Battlin Boxer or number... Okay, so I'm actually a little confused here. Does the Battlin Boxer have to be an Xyz monster? The wording is actually a little... Maybe, I don't think it does. That's weird. Anyway, I'm just sitting here trying to figure this card out. I think it's alright. I think I might play like a copy of this card. Doesn't seem bad. Okay, here's the big one. Here is the big one. Battlin Boxer King Dempsey. So it's a fire, rank 4 warrior with 2300 attack, 1800 defense, 2 level 4 monsters. Alright, so you already see generic material requirements. We gotta pay attention to this card. If this card is special summoned, you can take 1 level 4 or lower fire warrior monster, or 1 Battlin Boxing spell or trap card from your deck, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Quick effect, you can detach 1 material from a monster you control, and if you do apply the following effect, your opponent cannot target Battlin Boxer monsters you control with card effects for the rest of the turn. You can only use each effect of Battlin Boxer King Dempsey once per turn. Wow, this card is insane. I think both in the Battlin Boxer archetype, but also outside of it as well. This is pretty much Gigant / King of the Feral Imps, but for fire warriors. But it's actually a lot better. In a lot of ways, honestly. Those other monsters, like Gigant, can detach material to add, I think, a level 4 Earth Machine. And then the King of the Feral Imps is detached to add a reptile monster from deck to hand. So Battlin Boxer King Dempsey adds, well, it can actually add or send the monster from your deck to the graveyard, already making it a little bit better, right? Just having that extra option in case you need it. On top of that, it doesn't activate by detaching material, it's when it's special summoned. So while you could say like, oh, but if Gigant survives multiple turns and can get multiple searches, and while that is true, you could actually still get multiple searches with this as well, by like, you know, summoning it by, you know, Xyz summoning, getting the effect, and then on a follow-up turn, you could like special this from the graveyard with an effect, and that would actually still activate this, because it's not if this card is Xyz summoned, it says if this card is special summoned. So even if it does end up coming back later, you could still use the effect later. It's also got some pretty decent stats like those other monsters do, but it also has the targeting protection, which, you know, in a non-Battlin Boxer deck probably won't come up, but still potentially could, because of course this card does have Battlin Boxer in its name. And on top of that, another weird thing I noticed while reading this, you don't even have to detach the material from Dempsey to do the target protection. It can actually be from a different Xyz monster you control. There's not really any way to abuse that I'm aware of off the top of my head, but we're mainly looking at the fact that you can now, in the form of a generic rank 4, search for level 4 or lower fire warrior monsters. Off the top of my head, Rescue Ace has some level 4 fire warriors. Of course, for Noble Knights, it's nothing but level 4 lower fire warriors, pretty much in the main deck. And there was one other example I was trying to think of off the top of my head. Well, no, of course I can't remember, but I mean, those are already 2 very relevant decks, right? So yeah, I would definitely expect this card to, 1, be a UR for sure, and 2, I would definitely expect to see more of this in the future, in the near future. Finally, we're going to take a look at number C79, Battlin Boxer Kaiser General. A fire, rank 5 warrior effect Xyz. It also says extra deck there? That's weird. 2600 attack, 2000 defense, 3 level 5 monsters. But of course, being a number C, you're probably going to rank up into this, right? Gains 200 attack for each material attached to it. Once per turn, when your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card, and if you do negate the summon, if you do that, destroy the monsters. Okay, so it actually can destroy multiple monsters if multiples are special summoned at once, like by a pendulum summoner or like a card effect, right? That's cool. If this card has number 79 Battlin Boxer Nova Kaiser as material, once per turn, it gains its effect. Once per turn, when an attack is declared involving your Battlin Boxer monster and opponent's monster, send a Battlin Boxer monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. If you do, attach that opponent's monster to this card as a material. It's not a bad boss monster, right? Negating special summons is not bad at all. I think negating effects is better, because it's just more general, and you can, usually it's going to be an effect that does the special summoning, right? But I mean, it's still not terrible. The battling effect is not bad either. It's a decent way to remove. It's like it's an alright boss monster. Do I think it's enough for Battlin Boxer to be, like, you know, played as a pure archetype? Like, you know, looking at Battlin Boxer Promoter, right? I guess that's the big question here. Like, is this new support enough to make a card like Promoter, which is a very powerful effect, but will lock you into Battlin Boxers, good enough to be, what's always interesting, because people always ask this question, myself included, like, good enough to be competitive. What does that mean, right? Do I think Battlin Boxers after the support will be a tier 1 deck? No. Tier 2? No. Tier 3? No. Rogue? Yeah, I think lower Rogue, probably. And, you know, there's a lot of decks that exist in lower Rogue, and I will maintain, as I've always maintained, that, you know, you can hit Master 1 or top a tournament with a lower Rogue deck, and as far as, like, what you want a deck to be able to do to call it good, I think hitting Master 1 and or topping a tournament is enough to say, hey, this deck was obviously built and or played pretty good. So, in that regard, yeah, I think Battlin Boxers do have a chance. But again, I do want to stress that, like, you know, when played with, like, Promoter, you know, playing it, like, quote-unquote pure, or at the very least, just really focusing on the Battlin Boxer aspect. Again, I'm not going to say, like, it's going to be easy to hit Master 1 or top a tournament with it, but possible, certainly. Not even just possible, but, like, again, I think that this archetype does have enough going for it that, it's just not, like, you know, it's not like other archetypes just have, like, such a low power level that they don't do anything, right? This deck clearly has, like, good engine, a defined goal, and decent boss monsters. So, in that regard, yeah. And also, again, King Dempsey. You're going to see this card in non-Battlin Boxer decks more often than you'll probably see it in Battlin Boxer. This card in particular, even if you're not interested in Battlin Boxer as a deck, is definitely one to keep an eye on. All right, cool. So there is that. Let's take a look at some of the tournaments. We're going to start here. Oh, let's look at some of the lists, yeah. Master Cup number 36, 80 players, single Elim best of 3 with a side deck. I'll look at the top 16 breakdown here. We are still seeing mostly Snake Eye. But, you know, again, if you think back to, like, tier limit top cuts, right? Tier limits were much more of the pie than what Snake Eye is eating here. Snake Eye is eating a good portion of it, but, yeah, you know, it's still, like, obviously the best deck, but again, not tier 0. Looks like it was Lab that ended up taking the victory here, rocking the new transaction rollback, which makes a lot of sense, of course. Were they on Extrav? They were on Extrav. I'm always curious about that with Lab, because I'm like, I just don't like that card, but obviously I understand that it's still good. Okay, we have Snake Eye rocking the Cash Tira package here. Pretty standard stuff. More Snake Eye with the Cash Tira package. This one's playing Silvara. Was the last one playing Silvara? No, I didn't think I saw it. Rocking a Silvara here as well as only the Baron, no Borload. Are we not playing Jet Synchron on this build? Ah, we're not playing Jet Synchron. Are we playing Jet Synchron on this build? I wonder if the Cashier builds normally don't play Jet Synchron. That's interesting. Alright, more Lab utilizing transaction rollback and also different Dimension Ground, which is, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's a pretty good trap card, especially in a meta like this. More Lab. Wow, lots of Lab doing very well in this tournament. Again, that transaction rollback, it's a pretty good card. Here is a Snake Eye list that's still rocking the, I say still, I mean, Magician's Souls is still a pretty good tech option for the deck here. But yeah, fairly standard looking. More Snake Eye, playing the Bestials, makes sense. It's actually pretty good in the mirror. And Live Twin, hell yeah, we love to see some Live Twin. Playing the Sprite Pixies. I actually almost played Pixies. They also played fewer twin names than I did, which I also was kind of thinking about. I think I even talked about that in the video, how I wanted to play, like, fewer twin. Oh, I see, they play fewer of the monsters, but they play more of the spells. That's interesting. It's actually really interesting. I think... But I think I might actually have exactly the same extra deck as this person, too. Yeah, I mean, Twin Sprite, it's a good deck. I even got a comment on that video that's like, too bad this deck sucks. Yeah, it definitely sucks. Anyway, again, just, you know, being mindful of what's out there beyond just the top 5 decks in the meta. Alright, Factory Cup Season 6, Tournament number 1 was, let's see, Swiss with a side deck. Okay, so best of 3 then, I'm assuming. And look at that, yeah, here we have Traptrix winning. Again, Traptrix is probably another deck that people with that mentality would say, oh, this deck is just bad. And it's like, yeah, well, it's out here winning tournaments. So how bad of a deck is it? You know? When people say that a deck that wins a tournament is bad, it gives me the exact same energy as like overweight, middle-aged white dudes like on their couch or at a sports bar, yelling at the screen like "catch the ball" when the most strenuous thing they've done in the last decade is like climb a flight of stairs. So it's the same energy that I get from seeing that happen when I see people say, they'll talk about a deck that wins a tournament like, "This is bad. All the people in this tournament must have been bad." It's like, shut up, shut up. All right, here we have, ooh, wow, look at this. We have Monodium with Fairy Tale Snow. That's interesting. Oh, because they're playing Branded Fusion. Okay. I've seen a lot of this. A lot of the Monodium decks I see doing well. They are rocking the Branded package. It kind of makes me want to try it. Rika Sun Avalon is always ever sneaking in a tournament top here. I feel like we see it like here or there once a week at least. Exos. Yep, pretty standard looking Exo list. Another pretty good rogue deck there. Here we have Branded. This is our first Branded list we've seen in a top coat, which is kind of wild given how good this deck is. But, Branded, it's always hard to say if the deck is like, if it's actually falling in power level or just popularity or like, I don't know. I never know what's going on with Branded. All right, more Snake Eye. It looks like 2 unicorns seems to be the ratio that a lot of people are going with for the Kashtira Snake Eye. More lab, yep, of course, transaction rollback. All right. So this is actually from an official Konami tournament. It's a 3v3 team event. 36 teams, 108 players total. Prize pool including boxers and quarter century stuff. That's cool. Yeah, so this was not like the Worlds format, where in the Worlds format it was like 3v3 team, but you could only use so many cards across all 3 different decks, right? Here, as you can see, that restriction was not in place, and as a result, we're going to see a lot of Snake Eye, if you can believe it. In fact, the winning team was just rocking 3 Kashtira Snake Eye lists. Yep, that sounds about right. Team To The Future, also rocking 3 Snake Eye lists. 3 Kashtira Snake Eye lists. Like, yep. Okay, here we go. Here we have a little bit of variety. We got Branded Despia, 40-card list. With a little Dogmatica package, looks like, or at least the Maximus there. Snake Eye. And then we have Mathmech as well. Love to see Mathmech. Well, I love to see it anyway. I know a lot of people don't. Okay, we have Stun. Fun. We have Lab. And then we have more Mathmech. Hell yeah. Alright, what a fucked event. So with the I just glanced at the top comment there. I was like, what a fucked event. I mean, I do think that the Worlds format was a lot more interesting, right? And we can definitely see, looking at a tournament like this, right, why they formatted Worlds the way they did last year. Especially because, if you remember, that was Tier 0 format. And, again, the only reason we saw deck variety, which, to be fair, I still think it was a cool way to do the tournament, right? But, yeah, that's the reason we saw any amount of deck variety in the last 3v3 official Konami tournament, the Worlds one anyway, right? Because, believe me, if that rule hadn't been in place, you would have seen 3 tier limit decks for just about every team there. All right. Big tournament in China here. 132 players, 6 rounds, best of 1, best of 3 top 16. Best of 3 top 16 does have the side deck as well there. Won by Super Heavy Samurai, which, if we think back to all the discussions we've had about this in the past, that makes a lot of sense. Super Heavy Samurai plays much better in best of 1 than best of 3. So, it's easy and this is something I think a lot of people kind of fall victim to a little bit, right? Is that they'll only look at like tournament results and be like, oh, Super Heavy Samurai fell off. When, again, if we look back at Untapped, no, Super Heavy Samurai is the best it's been doing in like over a month in ranked ladder, just in best of 1 in general. And here we have more evidence of that with Super Heavy Samurai taking the W in a tournament with best of 1 Swiss rounds. So it's always, I find that fascinating to think about. Got Lab here. Were they not playing transaction rollback? That's wild. That's actual insanity. Holy shit. That's really cool, honestly. Okay, this one was, I was like, this tournament wasn't from before that came out, right? No, because it's right here. Okay, I was gonna say. That's wild. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe transaction rollback isn't as required as I thought it was. Because that's like the reason I haven't gone back to lab is I haven't crafted transaction rollbacks yet. Okay, here we have Snake Eye. Is that our first Snake Eye list? Surely not, right? Oh my god, it is. What the hell? That's wild. Okay. Snake Eye, yep. More Snake Eye in top 8. Tier limit list. Ooh, rocking the Visus. I mean, yeah, having a small Visus package in tier nowadays does make a lot of sense. Oh, but they're not playing the Terra. Oh, because they're not playing Rev Synchron. Right. That makes sense. Okay. And more Super Heavy Sams. This one rocking a very cute piece of tech. The Gallant Granite to grab the Fossil Dino. We see that in Valance too. Alright. One more tournament to show off here. I hadn't seen one from this series yet, from Indonesia. So, yeah, let's take a look. Seeing Tier Limit winning with 3 Rev Synchron. Love to see it. Love to see it. Such a cool card. And also, yeah, being able to Terra for the Perla Rhino in this deck is really good. And again, it's like we're playing. Why didn't I say it again? Because I thought about this before, but didn't say it. But I saw Destrudo on that last list, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like you're already gonna make Shooting Riser or like have the ability to sync for 7 if you're playing Destrudo. So like Rev Synchron doesn't necessarily ask like too much more of you in that regard, and it gives you the flexibility to go into the Terra for Perla Rhino. And even if you've used your normal summon by that point, you can still grab like a Shiren. So it's definitely not too shabby there. Pure Snake Eye, yep. More Lab. It was really that one list that didn't have transaction rollback in the last tournament. That's wild to me. Okay. Alright, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching as always as ever. Appreciate you, appreciate the support. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That means a lot to me. It's also a great way to support the channel, so thank you very much in that way as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, like the very special patrons that I am thanking here, you can do so by checking out some of the links in the description. One of those goes to the Patreon, where you can join these fine folk and support the channel that way. I do post daily content over on Patreon, so you do get something for support there. And if you're interested, I also have a coaching tier option as well. Details again will be on Patreon in the link below. Also in the description linked below is my Twitch page where I stream a few times a week. You can go ahead and check that out, follow or subscribe over there if you ever want to catch me live. You'll also find my second YouTube channel if you feel like subscribing over there to watch some of the Twitch VODs as well as some additional non-Yu-Gi-Oh related content that I make over there. Again, any of those links you want to check out is all a great way of supporting. But again, even if you don't do that, just watching was also a fantastic way to support. And once again, I have to thank you so very much. But in any case, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, and I'm hoping you have a fantastic day.